All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. We are here in South America, and I want to answer some questions because I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys about a couple of things, and I want to fill you in on some of these things that maybe don't fit into a normal episode that we do, but I am going to take you on a tour of our van and show you a lot of the modifications that we've done to make it ready for traveling the Pan American all the way from Alaska to the tip of Argentina. So we've been traveling for almost 2 years now on this Pan American adventure. We drove all the way to the top of Deadhorse, Alaska, and to Tuktoyaktuk both. And then from there, we have been going southbound now for quite a while, and we are now in South America. There's a lot of things we did to our van to make it ready for this trip. Some things that almost anybody with a Sprinter van would want to do, but there are some special things too that we have found incredibly useful that we want to just share with you guys. And maybe there's something that will be good for you, maybe they won't, but we're just going to point them out and run you through some things and see what you think. Okay, now as you guys know, we are in a Winnebago Revel, and we have seen all sorts of vehicles as we've been going southbound. We have seen people traveling in two-wheel drive cars. We've seen lots of pickup trucks and various pickup truck camper combinations. We've seen everything all the way up to the big man trucks that are 40 feet long and four-wheel drive or even six-wheel drive. And there's a lot of ways to do this trip. Now, none of them are right and none of them are wrong, but the predominant thing we are seeing down here is vans. Vans are the most popular way to do the Pan American Highway. And why? Well, vans have a lot of good qualities, right? They're a good size. They're made to be small enough to get around in tight cities. You know, they're originally made as delivery trucks. And so they get around in all these little villages quite well. If they're four-wheel drive, they get around even better. But they're also not too big, not too small. They're just a really good blend of space, comfort, and accessibility that you get out of these vans. Now, we've also come to the realization that some of the guys in the really big 30, 40 foot long man trucks, they're probably having the same issues that people do in Class A RVs in North America. You know, they're very comfortable when you're at camp, but they limit access. You know, a lot of them have very high ground clearance. They're four-wheel drive, or even some of them are six-wheel drive, but they're still big. They're still cumbersome. A lot of times they're too tall. So we've kind of come to the realization that the 144, the short Sprinter van in four-wheel drive, is possibly the best platform to do this trip. Now, I'm putting a lot of things into that as far as comfort, the space you have inside, the comfort you have on hot, cold, rainy, windy days, being able to escape the elements. All this is really important for long-term travel like this. Because it's one thing to have a vehicle that's like a rock crawler that goes anywhere with maybe a rooftop tent on it, and that's great for weekend trips. But when you're going from the Arctic through the tropics all the way back to the Antarctic or close to it, you're going to experience a lot of different weather patterns and cold days, rainy days, windy days. And I think the people who are the most happy on the cold, rainy, windy days are the people who can be inside and get away from those elements. So, you know, I'm a fan of rooftop tents. I think they're awesome, but they're great when the weather's really nice. And when you're on day 68 of being in the rain, you know, they're not a lot of fun to set up and take down. So with that said, we have determined that the Sprinter van is a great platform for down here. Now, a lot of you guys are going to ask, and this is a question I get asked maybe 3 times a week, is about the availability of ultra low sulfur diesel down here. Now, this is basically Mexico South is where people have a concern with this. And I can tell you, we have just tried to buy the best diesel we can find wherever we are. Most of the time, there is not a choice. You pull up to the fuel station, there is one pump with diesel, and you take whatever you can get. Now, we have burned some really terrible, like 500 parts per million diesel, and we've also burned some, 5 parts per million diesel of sulfur. So we've gotten a mixed bag, and really we're finding not only just us, but everyone else down here with the Sprinter van is making it work. It's not ideal, but it's not going to shut your trip down. Now, you will burn a little more DEF processing that extra sulfur, but so your consumption of DEF will go up, but it's not a problem. You know, we just use it and off we go. And we've been surveying a lot of the other travelers that we've run into and asking what their experiences are. Now, we have one friends from Germany that we keep kind of running into here and there, and they did have a little problem getting a regeneration cycle to go, but they were at nearly 16,000 feet, and they saw it on their gauge. It was going up. It went over 100%. I think it got up to 120%, and they just decided to drive lower elevation, and then once they got down, and I honestly don't know the height that they finally got to, but they got it then to regenerate and burned out their particulate filter, and they were fine, and then they went back up and kept on with their journey. There are tricks around some of this stuff, and you know, you're gonna get savvy as you travel around down here, but it is not the fear that most people have that are writing me weekly asking about the quality of fuel. We are able to use whatever we're able to use, and it's worked fine for us. Knock on wood. Hope it works for you too. Let's get into the van itself. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth here. Our van is completely dirty and real right now. We haven't polished it up. We haven't done anything special to film this video. This is it mid-route through the Pan American, and we've just crossed some desert, so it's incredibly dusty and dirty, but I'm going to take you through here and show you some of our favorite things that we've used on this trip. Now, a couple of things are things that we didn't use much in the United States, and the first one that comes to mind is our Warn winch, and it has the synthetic cable. Let's look at it here. This is on an Agile off-road hidden winch mount. It mounts under my bumper. It's really low profile, and this winch, we have used it repeatedly. We have used it not only to get ourselves unstuck, we've used it to get up some crazy steep rocky hills that we had a hard time with. We have used it to pull George into parking spots when he had a problem with his van. It's been amazing. We just keep finding uses for our winch, and it's funny because I've used it a handful of times in the US, but I've used it many, many more times here in South America and Central America. And I don't really know why that is, but it's been very handy, and I would highly recommend anyone coming down here to have a winch on their vehicle. All right, let's see here. The next thing that we use a lot is our light force driving lights. There are these right here, and I also have a light bar up there on the top. When both of these lights are on, it is like daylight. It is so nice. Now, we had a policy for a long time, especially going through Mexico and Central America, that we did not drive at night. And for that reason, we didn't use the light force a lot. But now that we're getting into South America and we're into places where we feel a little more comfortable driving at night, we're using them a lot more. We've also had some foggy conditions, and it's great for cutting through that, like when we were on the Colombian Death Road. So driving lights are nice. Now, they're not mandatory. A lot of this stuff that I'm going to show you today, don't feel like you have to run out and get any of this. Obviously, you need a vehicle, but like I said, we're seeing people do this in two-wheel drive cars with rooftop tents, or even they've taken out the front seat and they're sleeping in the car. So you can do this in any sort of vehicle, motorcycle. Even there's a guy right now doing it in a tuk-tuk, which is like a three-wheeled taxi thing. So take it with a grain of salt. Let's see, let's go to one of the biggest things that I have used to not only navigate and just have normal day-to-day interactions with people online, but also to do my work. As a YouTuber, I have to have a way to upload videos, and Starlink has been a game changer. So let's see, we're gonna climb my ladder here. I'm gonna try to do it with one hand. I'm gonna go through the tree here, and we're gonna go up on my roof, and we're gonna look at the Starlink. Now, here it is. This right here is the Starlink. It is mounted in what is called a star mount. Now, this is a version 2 Starlink. It has the arm on it that's articulated and it moves around, but I have disabled the arm, and I have drilled a hole in it to disable the motor for the arm, and that has allowed it to just lock up stationary, and then from there I put it in this Star Mount mount. Now there's a lot of ways to do this, and Star Mount has a lot of options for different ones. You can flat mount them in a different flat mount where you actually cut the back of the Starlink off. Mine, I've left it intact, and it sits on these magnetic feet. Let's see if I can show you those. See those feet? Those are actually big washers that are VHB taped to my roof. Now, why did I do that? Because I didn't want these magnets bouncing around on rough roads and scraping off all the paint and then have a rust problem. And this system has worked really good for me. And now the main thing I like about this is with the magnets, I can pull this off if I'm in a place kind of like where I am now with a lot of trees. It's hard to get a good signal. So I can pull this off and put it wherever I need to give it a better view of the sky. Now, I don't do that a lot. I do that maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 times a year, it seems like. But it still rides along. It works great. I get Starlink in motion. I get the ease of it always being on. And I still have the flexibility of being able to pull it off and put it somewhere else if I need to. So that's worked really good. The cables then run through a gland. You can see it there. That is a cable gland, and that allows the cables to go into the cab and be able to connect with the router there. All right, so there's Starlink. These are Max Tracks. I have 2 Expedition Max Tracks here, and then I have 4 more of the Mark IIs. These are the full-sized Max Tracks. So 6 Max Tracks in total. They're on brackets here from Agile Off-Road. Underneath these 4 Max Tracks, you're gonna find a Deadman anchor, which is a soft anchor. Let's see if I can get you a view of that. And it rides really great in the bag there. Can you see that? It straps on underneath the Max Tracks, and it allows it to just kind of ride underneath. It keeps it out of the UV, out of the sun, and gives me a great place to store it that's out of the way, that's not taking up any more space in my van. Now then I also have my kayaks here. There's only one up here right now because we've been kayaking. And this is my paddle bag right here. This holds my paddles, keeps them out of the sun. Now I'm gonna go all the way up here, and you can see here underneath my boat is this box. This box is an air conditioner. And in Central America, this thing was key. Having an air conditioner when it was so hot and so humid was only thing that made life bearable. Now, I'm a person who doesn't really love heat, and so it was it made all the difference at night being able to run this thing and keep it cool inside and get rid of some of the humidity. I think if you're doing the Pan Am, consider an AC, especially for Central America, because it can be miserable down there. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I run my AC at night. We have a battery upgrade by Romerig that I'm going to show you here in just a second and talk about it more. But maybe let's get off the roof and I'll keep taking you around. Okay, we're down off the roof. Let's see. Right here is our toilet system. This is a Thetford cassette toilet. Toilet is pretty critical for a lot of reasons, just for environmental sustainability and not getting, our public lands in the US closed down from people leaving human waste everywhere. But especially down here, you don't always have access to a bathroom. And a lot of the places we camp, it's not like even if you wanted to go pee behind a tree, you might be in a big parking lot with tons of lights, and it's just not a place to do that. So having your own bathroom system or a way to do that is really critical. And our cassette toilet has worked really well. I'm seeing a lot of people down here too with composting toilets. I'd love to learn a little more about those and see, but the Winnebago Revel comes with this Thetford system and it has worked great for us. So I recommend that. Okay, one thing that I cannot leave off this list because it is mandatory, I think, for anyone with a Revel van or a Sprinter van that has more weight in it. And once it's built out to be a camper, that's pretty much all of them. But is the Agile Off-Road Rip Kit. Now this is a suspension upgrade by Agile Off-Road. They're in Southern California. They make some of the best stuff in my opinion. And this is a suspension upgrade. Let's see here, can you see it? And look, it's so dirty. I'm gonna wipe off the little AO for you guys. This is basically a coilover and an additional shock that really makes a big difference in the suspension ride. Now mine is incredibly filthy right now. It has been across deserts and all over the place, but it is still doing a great job, and it makes the ride quality in these vans so much better. Now, in addition to what we've done in the front, in the rear, it also has an additional shock that's been beefed up. And this is the 3-inch shock by Fox Racing. And then it also in the back has a heavy-duty leaf spring, and it really stabilizes the back. And boy, the first time I put this kit on and I drove over just through a bump getting onto a street, it was very obvious and very clear that I'd made a great decision putting this on my van. And down here we have driven months on dirt roads at a time, and having this suspension upgrade has really made it just more comfortable in the van. But I also think maybe it's allowed us not to have any problems with suspension, because Peru just gave our van a workout, and this suspension was just constantly eating up huge potholes and taking big hits on all these dirt roads, and just the worst roads you can imagine. And I think having a upgraded suspension like the RIP kit really made a difference on it just being able to handle it and last. So that was a good thing. Let's see, let's keep moving back here. I'm going to show you the back of the van. So let's see, we're parked right here. Something critical is to have a full-size spare. Now this is a BF Goodrich KO2. I've been running these tires for decades. Really all the KOs. I've had the 1, 2, and I'll probably be getting the 3s at some point. And they are just bulletproof. I trust them completely, and they've never let me down. We had one flat. It was from a screw that got in a tire on George's van, but that would happen on any tire. We have had 0 blowouts, 0 sidewall failures, anything like that. It has just been amazing. So KO3s for the win for us. And this set of tires right here, you can see, once again, you're getting the real look. Nothing has been polished up for you guys. This is the amount of tread that I have going all the way, let's see, from Arkansas to the middle of South America. That's a pretty good run, and I think they still got a lot more life. I think these tires are going to get me all the way from the USA to Ushuaia. We'll see how much is left on them by the time we get down there. It's looking really good, so I'm totally happy with that. Then also on the back of the van, we have the Owl Vans Expedition box. Let's see, let's look at that. This is mounted on a B2 rack, which is by Owl Vans, and it allows me to mount all kinds of accessories on here, but the box is the thing I'm the most excited about. This gives me a lot of storage for all the weird little things that I don't know really where to put them, and things I want to get to quickly, like our camp chairs, our water hose, our ground mat, our hammocks, some locks, extension cords, air up, air down kit, fuel bottles, you know, you name it. You can put anything back here. It has a big gasket. It is totally waterproof and very tough. Look at the lock on this thing. And it has a padlock can go through it, or you can lock it with a key, or you can do both. So that's the Owl Expedition box. Now on that B2 rack, I also have the DeMoss Expedition, let's see, that's called the DeMoss Delta Pro shovel. There's a Delta and a Delta Pro. The Pro is an aluminum version. The regular Delta is steel. Steel is definitely more durable, but I sure like the weight of the aluminum. It is a lot lighter, and when you're digging out of a lot of muck and mud, snow, whatever it might be, sand, having a light shovel is nice because you're gonna have the weight of whatever it is you're digging on top of that. And I just lock it up here with a nice little padlock, keeps it secure. This shovel folds out into a full-length shovel, so you're not gonna have to, you know, bend over and break your back with some sort of a little spade type shovel. This is the real deal, and it's gotten me out of some sticky situations, and I'm really grateful for it. Now these are the bike rack This is the, gosh, I forget what they call these. It's an arm, an accessory arm from Owl that bolts onto the B2. Normally I would have 2 bicycle trays here and it'll allow me to carry 2 mountain bikes. For this trip, we decided we didn't want to worry about our bikes getting stolen. And so we decided to leave the bikes at home. We didn't think we'd be riding them much down here. And it turns out that's been a good move, I think, because there's only been a few instances where we thought that might be good. But I left these here so I could potentially strap things onto them. I didn't know if in Bolivia I was going to need to carry fuel cans, jerry cans, and maybe this would be a place I could sit it, and having these bars here would kind of keep them from sliding and also allow me to put a strap around them and give me a little more cargo capacity. So I left them on, and hasn't been a problem. It's worked out great. And then let's see, I also have a trasharoo. Now you guys are all seen these. This is a trasharoo. This is a spare tire garbage bag, and we do put garbage in it, but we also carry a lot of other weird things in it. Right now, this has my flippers and snorkeling gear in it, mostly because I didn't have another great place to keep them, and I kind of didn't want to put them inside and use that space, so I've just been hauling them around in here. A lot of people think maybe security's a concern. I have had nobody mess with this thing. George at one point yelled at some kids that were starting to look at it, and maybe they were going to get into it, and they ran off instantly. But I have had my flippers, my booties, and a few other random things, plus some trash in here all the way since, gosh, I think I got this thing in Arkansas or Oklahoma. Now, it has been on here about 11 months, 10 and a half months, and it is starting to fail. I'm getting tearing here, and this is just UV damage. This is just the sun eating this fabric up. It's probably my only hesitation in recommending the trasharoo is in less than a year, it's already starting to come apart from sun damage. You can see it's coming apart here too. So would I buy another one? Probably. They're like 45 bucks on Amazon, but am I happy that I didn't get a whole year out of it? No, I probably would love to get a little more time out of that for that investment. There's a lot of these bags out there. If you guys know of a better one, let me know. I'd love to know about it and possibly check it out. But trasharoos worked pretty good so far. Now another thing that's the back of the van, but it really helps the front of the van go and take us places, is the Agile Off-Road Auxiliary Fuel Tank. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can get a bigger fuel tank that replaces the stock tank, or you can do like we did, and you can have an auxiliary fuel tank put in, which replaces where your spare tire goes in the back of the van. This gave us 28 gallons of auxiliary fuel, or a secondary tank. It was really nice to just work off of our stock tank and know that we always had a tank in reserve. But there's a few places in Baja and a few places in like Chiapas, Mexico, where we really tapped into that, and it kept us from having to buy some really terrible quality diesel fuel, and allowed us to go from good diesel fuel to good diesel fuel and skip over the places where we would have had to buy something from somebody on the side of the road with diesel in an old Coca-Cola bottle. So I think that's pretty mandatory. And in the States, like we use it when we go into California, fuel's very expensive there. So we'll fill up in Nevada. We'll hopefully get through California with our 2 tanks, or if nothing else, it just saves us from having to buy a couple tanks in California. And we have gotten an incredible value out of this auxiliary fuel tank. On the back door, this has been great. This is a Dorganizer by Canyon Adventure Vans. This velcros and screws through the Velcro onto the back panel of the door, and it gives you all these pockets to store things. I have used this, well, you're gonna see here, I've got clothespins, more clothespins, my little brush, duct tape, my shower head. Down here I've got recovery gear, soft shackles, my winch donut, gloves, all that kind of stuff just lives there, and it gives me really easy access. I just open the door. I still have the factory pocket that's much like this one, but it's underneath here. And I use that to store things like jumper cables and stuff like that I don't need all that often, but I still want to be able to have pretty good access to it. So this is by Canyon Adventure Vans. This is the Dorganizer. I'll put a link to all this stuff in the bottom, in the description. So look there. And then I'm gonna give you a view of the back. So if we start at the top, we've got the roll-off screen. I'm gonna talk a little more about that when we get to the side door. It's a great thing that's proven really good on the Pan Am. And this here is my drawer system. Now these are drawers that slide in and out. Let's see, let me pan that down. That gives you a lot of storage. It allows me to put stuff in the very back and be able to bring it out to me. It also allows me to be able to stack things on top of it. So the way I work this is I have gear, and this is like a lot of my camera equipment. The other side has like tools and parts and jacks and hiking gear and stuff like that, and camping stuff. And it allows me to pull it out and not have to unload the whole back of my van when I need to get to something. And then on top of it, I've got gear bags here. And I can just stack up as many gear bags as I want. And in there I've got all my kayaking equipment and stuff like that. And it has been a wonderful system to just allow me easy access to my gear. Now, one of the most spoiled van life things a photographer could have is a tripod holster. This is something custom made for me by the guys at Inhabit Design Works. I'm gonna show you what their main product is here in a second. But this is a holster that I can slide my very expensive, nice tripod in and out, and it keeps it just kind of hanging there out of the way, and it rides really nice in a little padded taco sleeve, as I call it. So the other side of the door is very dusty, as I'm noticing, but we also have these window covers that insulate and block light, and this is another thing from Canyon Adventure Vans. They're on both sides. These attach in and out with magnets. They've been pretty good. They definitely make a difference. We never look out our back windows. We always have them blocked off because they're blocked off with this and with the roll-off screen. And why do we do that? Well, we're used to driving vehicles where we can't see out of the back, so we don't miss that view. But we also like how it gives it a little more sense of safety. People can't see in to see what's going on. And it also keeps the heat and the cold out. So that's been really good. Let's see, oh, here's a really good one. This is a new thing. Right before we left, we were at Agile Off-Road and we pulled the trigger on their brand new, at the time, it's still pretty new, their rear skid plate step. Now this has a better name than that and it's escaping me right now, but this is a step for the back door. It's got grip tape on it. It's a nice platform to be able to stand up. I use it all the time to clean the backup camera up there because it always gets dusty, and I never had a great place to stand to do it, and now I do. But the other thing is we have definitely drugged the back of the van a handful of times going off of ledges, and most recently stuck in some very sticky mud that you're gonna see in a future video. And this actually, let's see if I can pan up with this so you can see it. This actually gives you a flat place there that the whole weight of the van at one point was sitting on the axles and the skid plate. And I feel like this really saved the day and kept us from sinking deeper and getting into a worse situation. So all around, this has been a great thing. And then in addition to that, it has two of these smaller Baja Designs lights built in. When I turn on my auxiliary backup lights, these come on with it, and they're wired in with these light force lights that are up here. It lights up the whole backing area or the rear of the van like daylight. It has been wonderful. So the roll-off screen, when you get it from Winnebago, it hangs at kind of a bit of an awkward height. It hangs about here, like the bottom of the bed is here, and I want this to go right to the bottom of the bed or even be just a hair higher. But it hangs like down here. So it made it really hard for me to see what was on the back deck and get to my gear bags. Well, we came up with a cool little option here, and we put these extension straps. Let me get that aside so you can see that hopefully. This goes onto the clip that normally holds it, but we run it all the way to the top, and it's just a piece of webbing with two buckles on it, and it allows us to put the bottom of this of this roll of screen wherever we want it. Let me get you guys lined up there. It allows us to hang it at any height that we want. So that has been a really cool thing. It's a really simple thing. I think we got the parts at an REI. We got the 2 buckles. You need to make sure that the buckles mesh up with the roll-off buckles because not all buckles mate with each other. But as long as you get the right ones, this works great. And I think it was maybe 3 or 4 feet of webbing on each side. And now we can adjust those buckles and we can make the bottom of this be at any height that we want. Or we can completely unbuckle them and it'll go all the way down and seal all the way around. If we're in a super buggy area and we want to have the back doors open, we can do that. But I like it like this because if I'm getting in and out of the back of the van and it's rainy, it keeps rain and anything from getting in our bed. You know, it's like last thing you want is to open the back doors and have your bed get rained in. So that's a really quick and easy upgrade to your rear roll of screen. I would recommend that. Okay, and here's one thing. I'm going to try to show it to you from here, but it'll probably make a little more sense when we go inside. If you look inside, it creates a little pocket. This little pocket, it's almost like I think of it as like a hammock where these straps come down and it curls over. We keep a foam roller and a yoga pad in this space. Now, this is a great place to keep something like that, but the side effect of this that we didn't realize at the time was it makes the bed about, I don't know what, the width of a foam roller wider. And we've got this oriented so this is about the same height as the bed, or just a little lower is how Kathy likes it. She sleeps on this side of the bed. And it allows her to have her knee or leg kind of hang off, and it is then supported by the foam roller, which when you're sleeping in a bed this size, every inch counts, especially for us. We're pretty tall. Having this extra space here really makes a big difference. So that's something, I'll try to give you guys another view of that when we get inside. But the door just pushes this shut and it pushes right against the frame or the mattress of the bed. And it's great. It's like a little bed extension. Okay, let's see. Oh, silky saw. We are very tall because we have kayaks on top of our van. And we often have to maybe trim a branch or 2 back to keep from either ripping our kayaks off or something worse. And this is a cool little saw made by a company called Silky. This is called the Big Boy. They make them in different sizes and they have fun names like that, but this is the Silky Big Boy. It folds up like a pocket knife, but it is a very wickedly sharp saw, as you can see those blades, and this has served me so well many times and allowed us to trim back anything we need. We also use it for, you know, anything else that we need to saw, but predominantly it's doing a little trail maintenance and trimming back some bushes that are overgrowing on a trail we're going on, and we need that extra clearance. So I find that really handy. All right, what else? Let's see, I'm gonna shut this and maybe we'll go around to the side. Okay, let's get a little more domestic. We are carrying around an air fryer at this point, and this has been great. We have cooked many chicken dishes in here. You can get stuff at these grocery stores in Central and South America that you just need to heat up. They're usually in the freezer section. And fish and chicken and all kinds of things. And it has been so nice. Just pop it in the air fryer, turn it on, let it run, and you've got a really easy meal. The other thing that we've had for a long time now is the Instapot. This is another pretty efficient way to cook. Allows you to do all kinds of soups and roasts, and we do Indian food, we'll do curries in here, and it's proven to be really easy. Now this is the 3-liter Instapot, and it is great because it fits perfectly in the lower cabinet drawer of the Revel. Let's look here. So this is the roll of screen, same to the one in the back that I was just showing you. It is clutch for Central America where you have so many bugs, mosquitoes. This is a magnetic closure, This is a magnetic closure. It is super easy to get in and out of. When you let go of it, it just closes itself. You know, we went through some pretty dangerous, like malaria zones, yellow fever. We've had definitely some insect-borne illnesses that we've had to kind of steer clear of. And having a good screen system on your van or whatever you're in is very nice, because often those buggy places are hot as well. And if we weren't running our AC, which we pretty much only did that at night when we were sleeping, we would have the doors open and the fan on, and it was great to provide that breeze coming through, but also keep us out of the bugs. So, roll of screen. These come stock on the Winnebago Revels, but I think you can go to their site and they make them for a lot of other vehicles too. Let's see here, what else do we got? Our little flip down table, we use this all the time. This has been great. Let's just jump to this, I guess. This right here is the best ground mat you can have for the door of your van. This is an Inhabit Design Works. I think they just call it the ground mat. If you look at it up close, now this one has leaves and junk on it, but it's being used. And this is a really cool pattern. They have a bunch of patterns. You can pick the one that you like the best, that matches your personality and your van. And you can also do floor mats that cover the inside of your Revel van. Now these are laser measured and cut, die cut to fit the van itself. And you can see they cover the whole space. And a cool thing about them is they are insulated. Let's see here. They have a little bit of foam underneath them, and then it's this super durable material. And you see these are dirty as anything right now. But we pull these out occasionally and just spray them off at the car wash. And they dry really fast, and you put them back in and you have like a whole new clean van. They've been wonderful. If you happen to track mud or anything in there, it is a pain to get it out of the texture that Mercedes puts on these running boards. Let's see, this texture here tends to hold mud and dirt. And now you don't worry about it, because we step in, if it gets muddy, we take it to the car wash, we spray it out. Same for the ground mat here. This has been great as well. All right, now while we're on the topic of mats, I do love these Inhabits. They've got them for each step, but I'm still a big fan of the WeatherTechs. And you can see these are tired WeatherTechs. They have been all over the place, but this is a plastic mat that holds the water in, holds the mud in. I don't worry at all about stepping in here with mud or salt or whatever it might be on my feet. And I can pull these out and shake them out like I just did a minute ago, or I can take these to the car wash too and pressure wash them. And once you pressure wash these things, they look pretty much brand new again. So I'm doing the combo. I've got my Inhabits. They run all the way to the front, and then over the top, I've got the WeatherTechs. And that's been good. And then in all the footwells, I'm running the Inhabits. So kind of a blend of the two. Oh, here's something really good. Now you might notice my van has an extra hole in the door jamb. Here's where the lock normally is. We'll scroll down here. This is an extra bolt. And when I say bolt, we have an auxiliary locking system. This is by Thunderbolt Deadbolt Locks. They make deadbolt locks for vehicles. Now watch this. When I hit this remote, it throws this deadbolt. Now this is a different remote than my normal Mercedes remote. There's the two remotes. This is the Thunderbolt. This is the Mercedes that if you have a Sprinter van, you know. Now, I added these in myself. This was a little bit of a process. It took me about a day and a half to get them in all of the doors, but I just love that I can lock these locks independently. Now, why would I want to lock my locks independently? Well, if someone breaks my window and was able to pull up on the little plunger or pull the door handle or whatever they need to do, the door will open, right? And it makes it really easy to then steal my stuff and get it out of the van. Well, if the doors are locked independently by this second lock that they can't overpower or override, they end up having to crawl in and out of the windows if they break my window. And that's gonna definitely inconvenience them and slow them down. And I think there's a chance that even if they break the window and they're trying to mess with the door and get the door to open, if they can't get the door to open pretty quick and they feel like they're a little rushed for time, they probably are just gonna move on and go somewhere else and try to steal somebody else's stuff maybe. I find that really handy, and it's given me a big peace of mind traveling all the way from Mexico down. When we leave the van for any amount of time really, and especially when we go off on adventures and we're going to, you know, kayak or hike or whatever it might be, if I can lock these independently, I just feel a little more at ease. So link to those below. Those are Deadbolt Thunderbolt locks, and I installed them myself, but they have installers all around the country in the US that can put those in for you too. We're gonna come on in. This is my computer workstation. This is where I edit the videos that you guys see. It is a Apple MacBook Pro that then is connected to the 27-inch studio display, and then wireless keyboards and all that. One thing that I made myself that I'm really proud of is this cool little hook. This is just a piece of aluminum that I fabricated. It goes on the ram tracks that come standard in the Revel vans, and it allows me to hang my headphones. I was always scared I would put my headphones on the seat or somewhere, and I was afraid I was gonna sit on them and break them. But this has proven to be a really great, simple solution to just hang my headphones, and really I've hung all kinds of things there, but a place to keep things organized. So that's really handy. What else? Let's talk about the thing that I might use the most, and this goes hand in hand with maybe the Agile Rip Kit, but Schillmann seats. These are German orthopedic driving seats. These are amazing, and when you drive, you know, 40, 50, 60,000 miles down the Pan American Highway, your back will start to feel it in the stock Mercedes seats. Now, nothing totally against the Mercedes seats. They've gotten a lot better over the years from our first Sprinter van, you know, a decade ago, but they are no Schillmann seats. And the biggest thing I love about the Schillmanns is 2 armrests. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I'm driving, my left arm with the stock seats not having an armrest, just it would just kind of hang out there, and I started to develop tendinitis in my elbow from just the weight of my arm hanging on the steering wheel and nowhere to put my elbow and nothing to support it. And that was the biggest thing that led me to the Schillmann seats, as I was looking for something with an armrest. And I found them. These Schillmanns do that. They also have heat built in, which our van didn't come with heated seats. The newer ones do. And I just can't recommend these seats enough. Now, when you sit in them, they feel a little more firm. They feel, I don't know, maybe they aren't as plush as the original Mercedes seats, but on a long drive, you really want that support of your back. You don't want to feel like you're just squishing out. And these things are adjustable 10 ways, and you can form these to fit like a ski boot, and they just fit your back and feel so good. So I'm a big fan of these things. They've been awesome. So there they are, the Schillmann seats. They're great. A lot of you guys ask about this. This is in, let's see, I can't power it up, or can I? Yeah, there we go. This is a Garmin Overlander. See if I can get you guys where you can see anything on it. But it's just a GPS unit by Garmin. And then the thing that I think most people ask about is, how do I mount it here on the A-pillar? Well, you can get a clip here by a company called ProClips USA. Let's see, it says proclipusa.com. So go there, and this is basically a clip that goes on your A-pillar, and I have modified it a little bit to hold the mount, the magnetic mount for the Overlander. It just clicks on and off, and it allows me to then mount my Overlander on the A-pillar. Now you could put a phone there, you could really put an iPad or anything else. Might take a little crafting to get that to work, but it was easy for me to make a little aluminum bracket, and it has been awesome. And then its wiring runs through here, and it plugs into the box here where there's power. And so it's always on. When I start the engine, it comes on, and has been great. Got our patch collection. These are just the patches from Central and South America as we go down the Pan Am. We're proud of those. We got the best one right there though. So let's work back a little bit. Now, this is the bedroom. This is the Revel bed. It is not the biggest bed. I'm 6 foot tall. Kathy's about 5'9", 5'10", and we're in here kind of tight, but we've learned to love it. We do sleep great back here. But the space has always been a thing. Like I mentioned earlier, having this little bit of extra room from this yoga mat. Let me show you what it looks like from here. So if we look back here, the bed, there's some space here between the bed and the back door. And having this little bit of extra room here really gives Kathy a little more room, and she doesn't feel like she's gonna fall in the crack there between the door and the bed. It's just been wonderful. Talking space once again, now this is driver's side, and we're looking at some Adventure Wagon mule bags. This is a company that makes a lot of really cool stuff for vans, and we keyed on these mule bags and thought this would be a great addition into the garage space of the Revel. Now our feet are always under here. A lot of people sleep with their head by the window. We've determined that the way the mattresses are cut, my shoulders would hit right in the crease where the mattress is cut there. So we flip around and sleep the other way, and it has given us better support under our shoulders. We're on the main mattress the whole time, but it also allows our feet now to go under. This is the larger side. You can see there's the bathroom, and then here's the galley side. But this side is deeper, and it allows us to mount these mule bags. So now Kathy has 2 brand new big closets, and these are just bolted into the frame of the van up here. All I can say on that is it really helped to go and look at an empty cargo van and make note of where the ribs were. And then from there, I found them with a little trial and error, and I was able to screw a set of, let's see, it's L-track, logistics track, to the roof of the van. There's 2 on the top and 1 on the back, and then it hangs off of those. And it has worked really, really well. So this gives a lot of nice extra storage, plus some pockets underneath for storing small things, and the power still routes underneath that Winnebago wired in, and that has been great. Okay, the back door. Let's see. This, I'm just gonna have to show you this. Okay, now stored with a strap right up here at the top of the door is this tube of Reflectix. This is kind of a, let's see here, a bubble wrap type of Mylar insulation. And this is used in all sorts of things, from van builds to houses to anything you need to insulate. It's great. This is perfect because it fits perfectly in this opening of the bedroom. And then I've got 2 little pieces of Velcro. This is just adhesive Velcro, and it meshes up with Velcro that is on the Reflectix here. This allows me to basically Velcro. It's a little easier to do with 2 hands than 1, but I can Velcro this and block off the rest of the van from the back. This Velcros down and totally encloses the opening to the bedroom area. Then when we run our air conditioner like we did in Central America, it keeps that cool air back here. We don't really need to cool the whole front of the van because we're just using this mostly at night. And having this, we tried all kinds of things, using the bathroom door, leave it open, and that helped a little bit. We were hanging a blanket across here at one point, that helped a little bit. And then when I got this and I realized that the width was exactly the same as the door, I don't think I had to cut it. And then I figured out the Velcro. This has been so easy, and it makes a massive difference. We will be sleeping back here with the AC on, and then we will pull this down to go up to the front first thing in the morning, and it is a good 20, maybe even 30 degrees difference in the front than it is back here. And that does a couple of things. You know, 1, it just makes it more comfortable back here, but 2, it saves our batteries, because batteries are key when you're running air conditioning. And we're not plugged in or anything. We're running this all off the grid. And so having our air conditioner be able to run on low power or even on auto, where it cycles on and off and it's not running the whole time, allows us to go from, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours of runtime to 8 or 10 hours of runtime. And that is a big difference when you're trying to get through a sweaty night in Honduras. So, so that's been really good. And it just Velcros down, super easy. It rolls back up on itself. And like you saw, I just store it right here. Now, another thing that we have used a ton is this little tiny USB powered fan. See that? And it's just a flip of a switch. And on a night when we don't need the AC, but we do want a little more airflow back here, especially in this corner, because the MaxxAir fan doesn't always circulate a lot of air over here in this corner, because the air is coming from this window and it's moving towards the MaxxAir vent that's up in the roof. This allows Kathy, who's right here, to get a lot more airflow, and this has made a big difference. Now, to put this fan in, I added in a second USB outlet that's down below, and it's down in that water control panel. I was able to use one of the punch outs there and then tie into some electricity there and put another USB outlet. It's been great for this fan. Another cool way that we're able to store things back here is these bolts that come standard in the Winnebago Revel. It holds basically the bed system in. Let's see, will that focus? I have used climbing bolts, protection bolts that you can get in a climbing store as a bracket. And basically I just put them as like a washer in here, screw that down, and now I have 2 points that I can attach things to. So with this little bit of webbing, we can hang our helmets, we can hang the Reflectix here. It all lives there. And then Kathy's Traveler guitar, which if you haven't seen a Traveler guitar, you should check them out. This is a full-size guitar that is much smaller than a standard guitar. And when I say full-size, I mean the neck is a full-size neck. It is a great travel guitar, and it hangs off of these bungee cords right here that just support it and kind of work like suspension. It keeps it from getting beat around too much, and it has been riding back there for years now, and has been a wonderful place to keep a guitar. It's up, it's out of the way, it's protected. Another thing that you really need if you have a Winnebago Revel in the bed department is the Canyon Adventure Vans Revel sheets. This is a sheet set that the sheets are cut specifically to fit with elastic. They're fitted sheets. The crazy mattress that makes up this Revel van. It's 3 pieces. It's something that normal sheets just don't even come close to fitting. You can kind of make them work, but these Canyon Adventure Vans are really high quality, very comfortable sheets, and they fit like a glove. We just got our second set. Our first set lasted us 4 years of being our only set of sheets, using them every night for 4 nights, living full time in the van. And then we just got our second set. And these sheets are just a must-have. It's like we'll always have these fitted sheets because they work so good. Okay, let's keep moving here. Now, I just hit on something really critical that is one of the best mods we have done, not only for the Pan Am, but for anywhere in North America. It was great, and especially for the Pan Am, it has been great. Now, this is a hard thing to even show you because it's all tucked away, but we have basically beefed up the battery system in our Revel van, and we have put in the Roam Rig system that gives us 650 amp hours of lithium-ion batteries. This is 5 batteries, and it has made a massive difference in being able to run the air conditioner, for me being able to work here at my computer system and do all the things that we need to do, especially like cooking with the air fryer and using the Instapot. You know, all that stuff uses electricity. And so having a bigger battery array has been key. I mean, we often feel like we could even use a couple more batteries if we try to park for more than 3 days. But it has been wonderful. And all I can say is Aaron at Roam Rig is a mad scientist. He's like a genius, and he's come up with this system, and it has worked so well for us. I can't go on about that enough. Another thing that we use all the time from Roam Rig is the Beatbox stereo. Now, if you look at my stereo here, it is the factory stock stereo in the front, but underneath this seat, behind the fire extinguisher, is a subwoofer and all new speakers in the doors, and this thing sounds amazing, and it has really great bass, and it's just great. So when you're doing these long drives like we are, having a good entertainment system is really great. And you all know, if you have a Sprinter van, the stereo that comes in it isn't bad, but it's far from awesome. I'll just put it that way. And so the Beatbox has been a really good upgrade as well. Okay, now back to safety. So kind of like the screens with mosquitoes, something that we have added is right here at our sink. Let's see. This secondary faucet, see there's two faucets here. This secondary one is a Guzzle H2O water filtration system. Underneath this cabinet, I have water filtration in the form of a filter and a UV light. So it goes through two processes, and the filter is basically going to take out the big stuff, and the UV light's going to kill the anything else that's living that made it through, viruses, bacteria. It has not only made us feel better about drinking questionable water, but it makes the water that you do get taste better. So, and I think that's our number one thing with it. It just gave us that little bit of extra peace of mind knowing that it was getting filtered and hit with UV, and that we were going to be drinking safe water. All right, there's a few more just general travel accessories, or specifically apps for your phone, that we have used a lot. Now, the first one you might think of is navigation. We have had mixed luck, and I say mixed with maybe leaning a little more towards positive than negative, but using Google Maps to do a lot of our navigating. And we use it day to day. The thing we have noticed with Google Maps in Central and South America is it's always trying to take you on some shortcut. And oftentimes the shortcut it's taking you on doesn't even exist. It'll have you driving through farmers' fields. It'll have you going in people's driveways. It'll do all kinds of crazy things. And we've learned to just go where the trucks go. If we have a question and we see a truck going right when we're supposed to go left by Google, we go right. If you stay on the main roads, you're generally fine, and just question everything that it tells you, because you never know. It's going to send you off on a wild goose chase. So just use your common sense. I don't know, 80% of the time, Google Maps is going to be really handy and easy and work generally pretty well for you. Now, in the United States, speaking specifically like off-road routing and finding information for off-road and more adventurous routes, I would use OnX Off-Road. I've had great luck with that. It's a wonderful package of maps and information, but they don't really support anything south of, gosh, last time I looked, Mexico. So we haven't been able to rely on OnX like we have in the past, and to pick up the slack, I started experimenting with Gaia GPS. Now, Gaia has maps worldwide. It has a lot of great features. I've been just using the free version, and I find that it does pretty much everything I would want it to do. Or you can download a lot of more advanced maps, satellite imagery and stuff, but I am using their maps just to track our routes and log all of our camping spots and be able to back that up in a GPX file and be able to save that, so that then in the future I'll have that data to drop into Garmin or Google or whatever I want to do with it. I can use it in all those applications. And I've enjoyed Gaia. It's been pretty good. It's had a few little bugs here and there, but for the most part, I've been very happy with it. Now, we live and die literally every day finding campsites by the iOverlander app. It is an app. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's an app. It's got kind of an atlas of sort. You pull up a view of the world, and then you can zoom into the country or the state or the region, province you're in, and it will then show you all the places that you can camp around there. Now, this includes user-generated points. So if we just happen to find a pretty pullout by a lake, we could submit that, and then other people could then see and possibly stay in that spot. And then it allows people to also give comments. So, you know, if we find a place and it's really great, but then a year from now, something weird happens and it gets shut down and they don't want people camping there, you can put a note in there and it'll reflect that. So iOverlander's been wonderful for allowing us to find places to stay. We even use it for finding mechanics. We use it for finding water, showers, gas stations, all that sort of thing. It's got a lot of great information, and it's wonderful that all that stuff is confirmed by other travelers. So if something's bad, they'll write a review on it and we know that it's not so good. Or if something's really amazing, like some of these very off the beaten path restaurants we found that we would have never probably found on our own, we've just gone off recommendations from iOverlander, have led us to some incredible meals. So it's a wealth of information at your fingertips. And now you can get the iOverlander app as a paid subscription, or you can still do the free one. We've been experimenting with the paid one more than ever, and I do like some of the functionality of it. You can still use it for free, but you only get one country at a time. And with us changing countries, you know, sometimes weekly, it'd be nice to have the paid one with a little more flexibility there. But regardless, check it out. It's a really good resource. Another one that we're using a lot is an app called Currency, just Currency, and this is on an iPhone, and it is a currency converter. It allows us to have multiple currencies up at a time. We can punch in $1 US and it'll tell us the exchange rate for all the different currencies. And as much as we are jumping and crossing borders, it has been a great resource to then be able to say, you know, how many pesos is this in dollars, and is this thing I'm considering buying a good deal? And it just lets me relate it back to my own scale of dollars and realize, you know, if that's something I want to buy or not. So that's been really good. Early on in this trip, we had George's and Kathy's credit cards get compromised. Someone basically stole the information. A bunch of charges started coming through from New York and LA, and it was stuff that was ordered in the United States. And we were in Central America at the time, so that didn't seem right. We canceled it all, got it all straightened out. But since then, I started using Apple Pay on my phone to pay at credit card terminals for credit or debit. And I've got my different credit cards programmed in there, and I like it because they never have access to the numbers. I just basically pull it up on my phone, I scan it, and it accepts it, and prints out a receipt, and it's all good. I like that better than handing somebody my card, and especially handing somebody my card and they maybe disappear in the back for a little bit while they're supposedly running it. This allows me just to keep a little closer tabs on my personal information. That's the Apple Pay app, only for iPhone. I don't know, I'm sure there's something for Android too. I don't use Android, so I'm not really up on all that, but I'm sure they've got something very similar. And then it's one we use quite often is Google Translator. Now, we are learning Spanish, but we are far from fluent and we have a long ways to go. And we're pretty good with the common stuff that we've dealt with a lot. A couple times we've gotten oil changes and things, you know, it's like, how do you say oil filter in Spanish? So having Google Translator, and especially where I can talk into it and it just basically translates what I said into Spanish, I can show that to a person, they can read it, and then I can do the inverse of that, or have them talk into it, and then it turns it into English for me. That has been wonderful. So there's some really handy apps for the smartphone that will just make travel not only more fun, but safer and more efficient. And we have relied heavily on our phones on this trip, which brings us to the phones. Like I said, I have an iPhone, but I've been using AT&T's service, and AT&T has a plan where we can extend our plan for just a little bit more a month, and we have gotten service for all of North and South America. When I cross a border, I get a little message that pops up in my phone and it says, "Welcome to X country. Your service is now set up and you are good to go." And the phone works. Like, it doesn't even cut off for a second. It just instantly transfers over, and I have my same phone number as I do in the US. I can call just like I do in the US. I do have to add a country code number, but that's real easy. and it has been wonderful. I don't have to buy SIM cards. I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So I've been really happy with my AT&T plan for all of North and South America. It has just worked flawlessly. All right, guys, so there it is. There's the video with hopefully answering many of your questions. I'm sure I've missed some things, and I'm sure you guys are gonna have a lot of great questions because you always do. So hit me up down below with any future questions. If it's something I can't answer quick, I'm gonna include it in a future video. Let me know if you like this format. Is this something cool? Do you like this just kind of us chatting about stuff? If you do, let me know that down below as well. And I think that's it. We are gonna keep going southbound and keep bringing you content. So we'll see you somewhere over the horizon. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.